Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bennett's BikeSocial. I'm Michael Mann, and in this episode of Talking Heads, you join me here at the Triumph factory in Hinckley. Why? Well, you probably know why, because you've clicked on the video link already and it's got the headline on it. Anyway, but we're going to be talking in detail about this. It's the brand new bike for 2021 that's coming from Triumph. It's the Tiger 850 Sport. Stay tuned for all the details. Well, I'm joined, thankfully, by Miles Perkins, Head of Brand Management for Triumph. Miles, thank you so much for letting us come in and disturb your day and disturb your lockdown and letting us have a look around this new bike.
You're more than welcome, Michael.
Well, look, here it is, Tiger 850 Sport. Available in dealerships when?
Should be coming to dealerships in the UK from the end of January next year, so pretty soon.
2021, brilliant. Yeah, very soon actually. Yeah, good stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit to begin with about why you've got this bike and how, the sort of difference between the Tiger 900, which is less than a year old, versus this?
The idea behind the 850 Sport is, as you say, we have the Tiger 900, and when we launched the Tigers a year and a half or so ago, they've been very successful. But from that launch onwards, in talking to customers and looking at the motorcycle world and talking to our dealers, it's fairly clear that there is an appetite for a version of the Tiger from the 900 family, so to speak, but that's a little bit more manageable and a bit more accessible. So the idea in the launch of the 850 Sport, which replaces the Tiger 900, is to provide an option that's tailor-made a little bit more for accessibility. So that's in terms of price, great specification, but also the power and torque delivery being a little bit more manageable.
Just for clarity though, with the Tiger 900 range, there's three bikes in that range, aren't there? There's the base model, and then there's the Rally and the GT, right?
Yes, so you have a road-focused adventure family with the GT and the GT Pro, a more dual-purpose off-road and road focus with the Rally and Rally Pro, and the base bike was the Tiger 900, which was road-focused, but now that's being replaced by this, right, which is just as road-focused.
So the purpose of the 850 Sport is as a road-focused adventure bike?
Yeah. Okay,
perfect. And you already talked about power. What are the magic figures?
Okay, so the 85 PS at 8,500 RPM and 82 Newton meters of torque at 6,500 RPM, which is a little down. It's lower, more manageable essentially than the Tiger 900. And that's delivered by an engine tune. So it's not a different capacity.
Right.
It's a dedicated tune that just gives you a progressively more manageable power and torque delivery.
Okay, so it's still a three-cylinder 888cc.
That's right, yes. And it's still got the T-plane crank with that 132 firing order.
Fantastic, so it's still going to sound mega.
Yes, yeah.
So power and torque covered, how else does it make, is it accessible? When you say accessible, is it sort of seat height? Is it the spec? It's
a mixture of things. So first, and probably one of the most important in terms of people looking at the bike and thinking, is this interesting for me, is price. So this is a lower price than the previous Tiger 900, which is we're going to stop making at 9,300 in the UK.
Right.
So that's £200 cheaper. But specification-wise, in actual fact, you get a little bit more than the Tiger 900. And then in terms of the accessibility as a bike, in terms of rideability, although it features a lot of the things that or almost all of the geometry and the setup of the previous Tiger 900, all of that, of course, was focused on making it really easy to get on with, confidence inspiring to ride. So you have an adjustable seat height, so you can make it 20 mil lower. You have adjustable bars. The foot peg to handlebar to seat position has been designed for road-focused comfort. So, really easy bike to do distance on.
So it's a lovely big swooping seat. Is it the same seat that came from the Tiger 900? Speaking of which, have you got the details? Have you got the spec?
Yes.
On
So it's the same basic seat setup as the Tiger 900 range, which is adaptable. So you've got an 810 to 830 adjustability. So there's a clip system inside that you can reset. But then if you want a lower seat height than that, you can get a accessory low seat, which takes it down even further to 790. All
right, let's move on. So we've clearly got new colours on this as well. This particular colour wasn't available on the 900 range. Is this there's two colours in this?
That's right. So you've got Diablo Red and the Silver Ice, and also this one, which is the Caspian Blue and the Silver. And they've got their own graphics. obviously telling the story of the 850 difference between it and the 900.
And it's a lovely finish, isn't it? So the way the front fairing swoops into the front mudguards there as well.
You could describe this, or I would describe this as being a little bit more youthful, a little brighter. It's the first time we've done a split colour system, so with the blue on the front of the tank, side panels and the beak, fork protectors as well.
Is that your target audience? You talk about youthful. We've already seen the Trident as as a A2 compliant bike to try and get people into the Triumph brand. Is this your starter adventure bike, so to speak?
I think in some parts of the world, this would be perhaps the first bike you would look at for a middleweight adventure bike. Certainly in the UK, I think that potentially is one audience for it, particularly given this is set up for A2 license compliance, as well as the geometry and the handling setup and the more manageable engine.
Yeah.
So all of that's designed to appeal to someone potentially who's looking for something that's accessible. Is something I think if you're a bit early in your motorcycle career, you're not necessarily looking for not only all the bells and whistles, but the big numbers, something that's in your control a little bit more.
What about rivals for this particular bike? Have you targeted any particular other existing model?
I think it would be fair to say that people in this world may be looking at the BMW F750 GS, potentially versus the F850 GS. And interestingly, that's a fairly good example of the kind of customer base that we think this would appeal to, where you've got the difference in capacity, which is actually more of a tune difference because the engine on the BMW is the same engine with a different state of tune. Not only would that be a sort of a competitive target, but I think it's a good example of the kind of audience, someone who would buy that for what it is rather than it just being a cheaper bike.
I would also perhaps put KTM 790 Adventure and perhaps even Yamaha Tenere in that category as well. But let's just go back to the engine. So the engine is identical, but you talk about different state of tune. How has it been tuned? What is the difference between the power of the 900 versus the power of the A50 Sports?
So the difference isn't in the capacity, as you say, it's not the capacity of the engine, it's actually in the tune. So it's an electronic control through the ECU that gives effectively a progressive reduction in power and torque. And so if you were looking at curves, you wouldn't necessarily see a big drop. Just as it gets up to the top end of the torque and power curves, it's effectively just lower at the top. But you get a little bit of a progressive intervention of that. And what that gives you is I would say it's not dramatically noticeable until you really get up to the top end. And the benefit is, if you're going to give it a handful, if it's your first big adventure bike, you're looking for something that's a little bit more controllable. And
especially if you've already had it restricted for AT compliance as well. It's a big, great new bike that you're going to feel good at riding. In terms of tech, in terms of components, are they similar to the 900? I'm seeing a very similar layout on the handlebar in terms of switchgear, but the display too?
Yes, so the technical setup's a good spec. It is the same as the outgoing Tiger 900. So it's got its own 5-inch TFT with 4 different designs, and you've got 2 riding modes. You've got the slip and assist clutch. You've got an immobilizer in the key, and you've got all LED around the bike, which I think is probably the key point of difference with the previous Tiger 900, which you didn't have an LED DRL on that bike. So with the 850, you have a slightly higher spec in terms of that.
Daytime running lights. 5-inch display, and then you can change all those settings on the same joystick, can't you?
Yes, so you have the joystick control on the left-hand switch cube, so you can you work your way through that on the go, and that comes with switchable traction control.
Ah, handy.
You're able to that's built into the riding modes, but also you can independently turn that off should you need to turn off the switchable traction control.
What about the 2 different riding modes, rain and road?
Yeah, rain and road. They're engine tune, but also the traction control settings. So it's a mixture of the 2, and it's the level of intervention, but they are both full power. So you don't have a reduction in the overall power.
Right, so it's all about application.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a little bit smoother. And what about the other sort of components? Brakes, I noticed Brembo stylomers on this as well. Real high spec.
Top spec brakes, great brakes on it, Brembo's front and back. And Brembo calipers.
Yeah, great stuff. 320mm, I think, aren't they?
That's right.
Twin discs. And suspension?
Masochi suspension, RSU and forks with adjustability on the RSU for preload.
Yes, you can see the adjuster sitting out there on the right-hand side. Brilliant, what a fantastic bike. And it's so narrow, isn't it? You can see how the profile of it from here. Tyres look a little bit different to what we've seen on the Tiger 900 range before.
So these weren't available when the 900 was being specified. These were launched just before we launched the the 900 generation of bikes. So these are the Michelin Anarchies, and I mean they've got a great looking profile on them. But again, they're like the Tourances on the 900s. These have been designed for a bit of light off-road as well. So you've got an all-rounder capability on the bike. Although mainly, of course, this is a great road-focused cast wheel bike, and we think they're great for that.
Yeah, it's a nice presence as well. It kind of sets it off, doesn't it? Sets off the look and feel of the bike. Cast alloy wheels, I think, aren't they? But yes. 19 on the front. Clearly, that was deliberate. You've obviously chosen a 19 on the front as opposed to a 17. There's a reason behind that.
It follows the very intensive testing and also the successful appreciation of the Tiger 900s, which are set that way. So there's the same setup as on the GT and the GT Pro. And what we found there is that gives you really have got a very well handling bike, but also, of course, what you want from an adventure bike is that upright, commanding riding position, which is good for visibility, but also in terms of control. So we think it's a great setup, and it's certainly gone down very well with the Tiger 900 family, so we wanted to continue that.
Some great little touches on this as well, you know, just the little Triumph emblems. You know, it's nice and neat, isn't it? It's very well put together. I think it gives you as the rider a real sense of quality. The build quality is evident, and you know, it gives you it's reassuring when you're spending almost £10,000 on a motorcycle. You talked about vision and sitting up high. I think the screen there's adjustable, isn't it?
Yep, so you can move that 50mm adjustment, and that's got this single lever that you push out and lift up, which you can do that on the move as well.
Very handy, and not available on all bikes.
Plus aero diffusers as well, and that brings the wind around you and of course your pillion as well.
So it wouldn't be a Triumph without having lots of accessories available.
Absolutely.
But again, God, that's you know, that's the point of today's motorcycling, I think, isn't it? We're kind of following on from the car industry, and you can personalise and tailor a bike to your specification. But go on, is there a magic figure? How many?
60.
60.
60 accessories for the 850 Sport, and that would include all the things I think that most people would think I wish. So heater grips, obviously very good for the UK. You can put a quick shifter, the up and down quick shifter on here, and lots and lots of luggage. So we've got two completely unique sets of luggage developed with Jivy. A aluminium set, and also what we call the Trekker set. Panniers as well as top box, including a 2-helmet top box, which I think is quite a must if you're on a big trip.
Fab. Miles, please, can we hear it?
No.
Oh.
No, yeah, of course you can. Really? Yeah, do.
May I?
Feel free.
Thank you. Love these displays. And it's clutch, isn't it?
Yep.
Go on.
Button down.
Oh, she purrs nicely.
Yeah.
Hello, you can really hear that firing order, can't you?
You can. Still got that lovely lift though, the triple lift, you know, when you get it on chat.
Brilliant. Miles, thank you so much for letting us have a little look around this, seeing all the details. It's been a pleasure to come along and to see it in the flesh. So
you're more than welcome.
Thank you for that.
Great to have you here, thank you.
Right, there you have it then. So available in dealerships from the end of January 2021, 9,300 of your English pounds. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, if you've got any questions for myself or for Triumph, then I'm sure Miles will be happy to help. Until next time, thanks very much. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The quality is so good.
Yeah. He's a good guy. So.
Young up and comer, quite reserved.